Dr. Sorah, this mic is all yours.
So, welcome. I'm Dr. Sorah Dubitsky, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for probably over 45 years. I'm old, but only in body, But I've been working with material for years and years and years and years, and what I love about the course is that it's always relevant. It's always profound. The deeper I go into my own healing process, the deeper the course appears. And before doing these I call them Zoom meetings. Before doing these meetings, I kind of mull over in my head what I want to talk about, and I ask for guidance, which is, as course students knows, that's like the oh, what word would I use? Yeah, that's how we learn. That's the process. We connect with the spirit within us, also called the Holy Spirit, and that connects us to higher consciousness, to the universe, to God, whatever words you want to use. But we're kind of changing focus instead of going through the machination of trying to figure out how to solve a problem here in three-dimensional reality. We go to a higher plane. It's like the difference between watching a parade at ground level and what you see. You see the marching bands, and you see the floats and the dancing girls, and they're all marching, row by row by row, past your field of vision. And then, but if you were in an airplane looking down on the parade that's passing by, you would see that everything's happening at once. You would get this bigger picture. And that's what the course offers. It's a bigger picture. It's a different picture. It's a loving picture. It sometimes it's a surprising picture when the guidance comes in and says, do this. So what came to me finally about what to talk about is something that I heard recently from two different people. And it was the same idea that each of the people I heard this from, they were having difficulty with another person. And what was the difficulty they're having with with another person? The difficulty they were having with another person had to do with wanting the other person to change. Okay. And how many of us, want the other have had that happen? We want the other person to change. If they change and do as I say and be who I want them to be, I will be happy. And I'm looking up a particular lesson. It's lesson 71. And it says the ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. And remember what I started out talking about, that you want the other person to change. So it maintains, this is the ego, it maintains that if someone spoke or acted differently, if some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. And I'll use the word saved and happy interchangeably, for right now. You'd be happy. Thus, the source of salvation, meaning happiness, is constantly perceived as outside yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says If this were different, I would be saved, meaning happy. The change of mind necessary for salvation, happiness, is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. So it was so interesting to hear these stories. By the way, welcome Dove and welcome Lynn. Thanks for being here. Thanks for providing this platform. Um, so hearing the two different people share the same kind of story, they want someone else to change. It immediately reminded me of this paragraph that change. There's a joke that's coming to me. What did the Buddha say to the hot dog vendor? Some of you might have heard this joke. What did the Buddha say to the hot dog vendor? So the Buddha, goes up to a hot dog vendor and he wants a hot dog, and he says to the vendor, "Make me one with everything." And then the hot dog vendor gives him a hot dog. It's probably a tofu hot dog. Gives him a hot dog, and then the Buddha says, "Okay, where's my change? I gave you a $20 bill. Where's my change?" And the hot dog vendor says, "Change comes from within." So that's the point I want to make. It seems really difficult sometimes, especially long-term relationships. I'm also going to read from a section in the manual for teachers that talks about levels of teaching. Let's see if I can find it quickly. Levels is character. Yeah, levels of who are God's teachers and who is people's. Yeah, what are the levels of teaching? And that brings me to this idea of, okay, of what are we teaching? What does that have to do with holding grievances? As I grab a pen because I need to make notes. Holding grievances is a ploy of the ego self. What's the ego self? The ego self is the self that thinks it's separate. There used to be a song, you and me against the world. Take out, like what the song, eliminate the you and me, and just say me against the world. That's what the ego is. Yeah, it's the identity that we've made up. It's the identity. I've been talking about the psychology of the course. It's the identity that's constructed as we grow. And one of the course teachers, Ken Wapnick, used to say it takes about 30 years to build a healthy ego. He was a Freudian psychologist. It takes about 30 years to build a healthy ego. Meaning having a sense of an established sense of self, who you are, what the world means, what you're doing here. But then Ken used to add, Ken is no longer with us, he would add, then it takes the rest of your life to break down that sense of healthy self. And that's a part of process, the growth. In order to grow, we have to let go of other parts of ourselves. And the focus becomes you're always looking within. And now what does that have to do with grievances? If we stay in that ego world, and you can see it as people age. And I'm in a retirement community here, and I see people aging or aged people all the time. Some people are really happy, and some people are really mad. And what's the difference? The people who are happy, have found something within themselves. The people who are sad are still blaming the world for their circumstances. So I would say, one set of people, and this is very, the simplification, and one set of people are still retain that ego identity, have not come to terms with the fullness of their being, which is what the other group of people have come to terms with, and that's even without A Course in Miracles. But what A Course in Miracles adds to that is the ability to forgive, the ability to look past those the line. If something would change, I would be happy. They found that nothing needs to change to be happy, that everything is within. So that brings me back to what the two different people here's that. Okay, I have my page. I have it's Susan Michelle, who was here, held up her book, or that's my book. I'm also about 30 years old, if not more. So to go back to what I heard about people who wanted to change other people. If you've ever tried to change someone else, as I adjust here, um, it's not easy. You know, and even without A Course in Miracles, it's not easy. Like, you better change. As I've developed a few processes that helped in my relationship. I had a long-term relationship. I was married, my husband Larry, and over the years, 37 years, we were both course students, and we developed processes, to help when we had disagreements. And the relationship meant more to us than individual wanting things our way. There's a line in the course, like, do you prefer that you be right or happy? So we have these processes that we developed that helped us be happy rather than being right. But again, when I heard, these two different people, both course students, talking about the same kind of thing, and one person was very upset. She wanted to discuss a topic. I'm being vague because I don't want to betray any confidences. Anyway, she wanted to discuss a topic with another person, and the other person didn't want to discuss that topic. And the person that I knew also remarked, oh yeah, she needed this other person, for what the other person was doing for her. But she wanted to talk about stuff the other person did not talk about. And there was a lot of anger there. There was a lot of fear there. Like, I reminded her, of course, lines, chapters, look at this, you're never upset for the reasons you think, one of the course workbook lessons. But then what I was hearing from her was a repeat of what I had heard from the other person, who also, there was a person, and she was being really nice to this person, and the other person wasn't really responding, and she wanted the other person to respond. So maybe you've been in situations like that, and to go back to what a grievance is something outside of me, something else would be different, I would be happy. Now, if you reach a certain age, or if you've been in relationships, or you've been married, which is an intense form of relationship, you know that it's not easy to change other people. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what, as a course student, the question I always ask is, okay, what's the lesson? What am I learning here? What is this person here to teach me? And last week I told a story about my sister. And it was, we had a difficult relationship, although we loved each other very much. But there was always something there. And what was there, always something that was there, was we wanted each other to change. I thought she was a bully. She thought I was, how would I describe that? I lived in a fantasy world. We each had boxed the other one in to an identity. And that goes right to what A Course in Miracles also talks about. There was another section that came to me. It's in a section called The Two Emotions. And let's see if I can find that. So the two emotions are love and fear. Either we're coming from a state of love, or we're in a state of fear. Let's see, where were we? I think chapter 11. So either we're in a state of love or in a state of fear. And right now I can't find it. But that's the essence. I have it here. Fear and love are the only emotions of which you are capable. I've said you have but two emotions, love and fear. And these people who are in our lives, to teach, what are they here to teach us? They are here to teach us to remember who we are. How to remember who we are, and the Course talks about that. Teach only love, for that is who you are. So these people who we want to change and we can change, that's the irony, are teaching us how to elevate our love. And we don't know what that looks like. One person was talking about how, both of them actually were talking about how they wrote letters, they make phone calls, they want to, they start a dialogue, all these ways they're trying to change the other person, which is impossible. And as miracle students, they know their focus is on teaching love. So how do you teach love when the other person doesn't want to learn love your way? Dove and Lynn, do you have anything you want to add? Any comments, questions? Are you guys there? Maybe not. All right. When you see this on YouTube, please send questions. Any questions? I'm here to answer them. So, how do we teach love when the other persons don't want to receive our love, or don't want to receive what we want to give them? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So I said before, I developed a couple processes. Having been married, I'm doing a time check. I developed a couple of processes, having been married 37 years and wanting to keep the relationship. And my husband was, of course, a miracle student. So we were both learning our lessons every day. There's nothing like marriage to um, exemplify what learning lessons are, because of the intensity of the closeness. So, I keep seeing something, maybe it's my eyes. Okay, so here's the lessons, or here's the uh, processes, that I developed. The first, and to heal grievances and to be able to stay in a state of love. And staying in a state, how do you love unconditionally? Stay in a state of love, acceptance is a key. You have to accept the other person just the way they are. What if you can't change them? What if they're not responding to your attempts to change them? So, one process is, um, all right, one process, what do I need to change, let go of? Oh, Lord, what's the third one? Or accept. A variation of the Serenity prayer. What do I need to change, let go of, or accept in order to be at peace? See, in of course, miracles, our goal is inner peace. Our goal isn't huge financial success, worldly success in any way. Our goal, nirvana, a state of dream state, leaving, being lifted up on the wings of angels, like all that sounds great. Our goal is very much three-dimensional inner peace. So in situations where we can't change the other person, what do we really want? Do you really want to change the other person, or do you want to be at peace? And we're taught, throughout 1,200 pages of the full course, that our goal is peace, inner peace. So, and so this is a process. If anyone, watching this has anyone they want to change and who's not changing, ask yourself, what do I need to, I'll say, accept, change, or let go of to be at peace? And what I'm saying, bottom line is that um, you can't change the others, and I can only change myself. And which may mean accepting, which may mean ending that relationship. If it's not, it means going within and going to what I mentioned before, that higher place, looking down at the parade, seeing the whole picture. Now, what do I really want from this person? I can't change them. Trying to change them is just distressing me. So what do I do? And the answer to the what do I do part, when we go within, when we seek that guidance from, the airplane that's above us or within us, sometimes it's a surprise. Sometimes it's, okay, apologize. Sometimes it's, don't call. Sometimes it's write a note. Yeah, we don't know. That's why we have to go to that part in us that is also connected to love. I think I started out with there's two emotions, love and fear. So to be able to go to the love is to be able to even, say, even if you never change, I still love you. even if you never change, we'll each go on in our own lives. It's, what's your threshold for continuing to stay in that relationship? And that's what this asking for guidance is. That's what going to a higher place is. So that's one process. What do I see? And I'll come back to that one. What do I need to let go of? Accept or change to be at peace. So the first lesson is about achieving peace. The second one I have is a process that says, I forgive you for not being who I wanted you to be. We have I want to say, idols. We have accepted. I wish I could find that other quote. Let's see, 217, maybe. That we, to get a little technical, here it is. How about that? According to the words, we come to the world, we have an ego. That means we have a sense of a separated self. And the ego needs to do things, it needs to get things, it needs to be somebody. And it has an idea of who it is. And then what this says is okay, here it is. I have said, but you have two emotions, love and fear. In this, in love and fear, one is changeless, but continually exchange being offered by the eternal to the eternal. That's love. I accept you for who you are. Do I want you to be different? Yes. Will you ever be different? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not responsible for you. I'm only responsible for the way I see you, which is another line. Do not seek to change the world, but only seek your mind, only seek to change your mind about the world.
Time up.
We have a dove. Do you want to say something, my dear?
No, just that it's 3 o'clock. That's all.
Okay, well, last time I went to 3:30.
Oh, okay. Then keep on going.
So maybe I'll go to 3:30, maybe I won't go to 3:30. But I have the time. Lynn opened the time for me.
Yeah, she's on the
So
schedule for an hour.
so I will say that again, sorry, Lynn.
I said you're on the schedule for an hour.
I'm
So-
on the schedule for an hour. See, so there's something that's the people here. This is exactly it. Each person peoples his world with figures from his individual past, and it is because of that private worlds differ. The figure he sees were never real, for they are made up only of his reactions to his brothers and do not include their reactions to him. But so, and there's other places that kind of thinking is echoed. As an ego, as a separated self, we make up people who are here to support our ideas of who we are. And it's so interesting to be aware of these. I had in my own story, I years ago, I had a friend, and she was helping me launch. I had a magazine. She was helping me launch the magazine here in Florida. But she was also she was very needy, and I didn't really see that. But every time we were within a group of people, she would come back to me with, why didn't you pay attention to me? When that kind of like, you're not paying attention to me, and I'm doing all this stuff for you, and you're not giving me enough credit. And she kept blaming me for somehow I was I was belittling her. I was not loving her. Yeah, bottom line, I was not loving her. And I would feel guilty. Ah, I would feel guilty. And that was the key. I mean, so she was in my life to either, by her behavior, either making me continuous to believe I am guilty, and oh yes, I will make sure I never do that again, and please forgive me, and I'm sorry, and or she will make me, wake up to this idea that, I'm really a nice guy. And maybe I can't be who she wants me to be. So it's a different perspective. Instead of bolstering my guilt, and it took my crying and being really upset, and I'm such, am I really such a bad person, and I'm really so nasty, I'm not paying enough attention to her. And the lesson finally dawned on me. It's like, no. There's a story about the Buddha. I told the Buddha and the hot dog vendor before. This is another Buddha story. The Buddha is, I just saw it on Facebook. The Buddha was sitting under the Bodhi tree, and he had just given a lecture, and a villager comes along and tells him like how stupid the lecture was, and you're a stupid person, you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm gonna tell people that you're fake, and he's going on and on berating the Buddha. And when he's done, the Buddha says to him, sir, what happens if someone gives you a gift and you don't want it? And the guy says, oh, what if someone gives you a gift and you don't want it? Who does the gift belong to? And the guy says, well, the gift belongs to the giver, of course. And the Buddha says, then takes your gift of condemnation and vituperation and give the gift to someone else. I don't want it. Yeah, that was the dynamic with me and that person. Like, where I had to come to terms with, I don't want to feel guilty. I think I'm doing a good job. I think I'm a nice guy. And so the dynamic of the relationship changed. To get back to what I was saying before, this affirmation or process, I forgive you for not being who I want you to be. I forgive you for not being who I want you to be. So on her part, the forgiveness was, like, no, I'm not guilty. No, I was treating you like as I treat everybody, you're a friend. For me, the forgiveness was I had to see that this anger, this neediness was who she was. So for me, the forgiveness would be, I forgive you for I would probably couch it in the positive. I forgive you for being needy. I forgive you for not being kind and gentle. And then, and then we give it to spirit, as I keep saying, like how does this get resolved? To go back to these two people with the same kind of story of unforgiveness towards someone else they want to change. Like in that case, she wanted me to change my story. She wanted me to change to somehow be nicer to her. My perception of that was I'm being as nice as I can. I can't be who she wants me to be. And I had to forgive myself for that. So I hope these are making sense, my forgiveness was forgiving myself for not being who she wanted me to be. So to get back to the two people with the same kind of story, wanting someone else to change, the reminder is you can't change anyone else. Seek not to change the world, seek only to change your mind about the world. So for each of these people, they had not reached the point yet of completely changing their mind. They were still holding on to if someone else outside of me, if someone else outside of me doesn't change, I'm going to be miserable. Yeah, that's the corollary of what I just said. If someone outside of me, and I'm looking for that lesson again, it's lesson 71, for being with the course for so many years and having read it all the way through probably twice. I was teaching intensive courses, so probably twice all the way through. And it's dense. This is not easy reading matter, and I admire anyone who says, "Oh, I picked it up and read it." Really? Okay, that was not my experience. But to get back to this paragraph about the source of salvation is perceived as outside of herself. In practice, we learned the source of my salvation or happiness is within. And there's kind of risk involved with that, especially the course calls it the untrained mind. Especially in beginning stages, meaning, okay, I'm going to let go and an answer is going to come about how to handle this. And then what the course is training us to be is what we call a teacher of God. And a teacher of God is someone who recognizes someone else's need as his own. In other words, you're not seeing any separation. And you're seeing the world through the eyes of love. You're seeing the world through an empowered self, that can stand on its own being. It can stand or rest. It can rest in the arms of this higher self who absolutely knows what to do. So what time is it? It's 13 after 3 o'clock. So with that, I'm going to do a closing meditation. I'm going to end, I'm not going to go into exactly 3:30, but I appreciate the extra time. So to summarize, we started out talking about grievances and talking about two people who had the same kind of grievance. If someone else changed, I would be happy. Teaching the course, it's like, you can't say one thing without bringing in another. We talked about having, going within to find the solution of how to be happy with these people, even if they don't change. I mean, and that's core, like, can we end the grievance? Can we ask for guidance to see them lovingly? we talked about how we people our world with people who are supposed to uphold our ideas about ourselves. There's a workbook lesson that says that, the purpose of other people is to maintain a self-image. And that's what the ego is, it's self-image. And when our image is busted, that's when it kind of, the world can shatter. Our um, our trust in the world can shatter when our self-image is busted. I talked about Ken Wapnick, who said that it takes about the first 30 years to develop a healthy sense of self, and then the rest of our lives to tear it down. That doesn't sound very appetizing, but that's what it is, because the image we have of ourselves is subject to change. And no matter, whatever path we're on, life is going to force us to change in one way or another. And it's easier to change when we realize we have help from within to help us through those changes. Let's see, we talked about grievances. I didn't get into levels of teaching, but we can save that for another time. I did mention trust. It is big to be a teacher of God. It is to trust that airplane. I talked about how life, we can look at life like a parade down a ground level where you're saying one thing at a time, or with spirit, with this higher self, with our connection to the universe. We can see the world, from like a bird's eye view or an aerial view. In an airplane, we see everything happening at once. That's spirit's view. Spirit can see the bigger picture, and then kind of engage us engage our minds to seeing that bigger picture as well. And so something inside of us change. And we did a couple of processes. What do I need to let go of, change, or accept to be at peace? And I forgive you for not being who I wanted you to be. I forgive you for not upholding my self-image. Or I forgive you for helping me let go of my self-image. Either way, that's what these people are in our lives for. So with that, why don't we close our eyes and take some nice deep breaths, and imagine someone in our lives, anyone who comes to mind. Could be someone you love. It could be someone not so much love. And just in your mind, say to this person, I love you. You are my brother. And I value your place in my life. And I let you be exactly who you are. And take another couple of breaths. And open your eyes, and amen. And so it is. And I'm done. It's about 3:20, I think, or something like that, 3:18. So I'll talk to you guys next week. And I don't know what the topic will be. I keep calling this A Course in Miracles Basics. So forgiveness, how to forgive in the world, how to be in the world, those world topics that might come up. So with that, thank you. And thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dove. Any comments, questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sorah. And I do appreciate you taking this time and being here with us here on Tuesday afternoons. So we will see you again next week, maybe sometime in between. So grateful for
Yeah, I'll look at some time in between. That would be nice. If
Yeah.
you let me, if you let me know what times you still have available.
Well, we have
I'll see
plenty of
if
times
I
that you
can
could
fit
join.
anything. Sorry?
We have plenty of times that you could come and join with other people who are doing
Oh,
groups.
right.
So
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Like I do
absolutely.
join with Myrna and
Yes,
Susan right
yeah.
for me. Yes,
So
of
yeah,
course.
plenty of that going on. All right, thank you
Okay.
so much, and
All
we
right.
will
Thank
see
you.
you next
All
week.
right.